sure that you're getting enough magnesium in your diet so that you do not experience a small baby, low for birth weight baby, preterm birth, or any of the negative health effects that your baby can experience several years down the road. Because the first 2 years of your baby's nutrition, whether intra-utero nutrition and the first 2 years of growth, or especially the first year of lactation, these years are the most important years for determining the long-term health of your child as an adult child, as an adult person, and they will then have better cognitive function, better health, better mental health, better emotional health, and with these things they can be more conscious and bring more light into the world, which is my main goal. So we're going to start out today with a beautiful hummus, and chickpeas are super high in magnesium, and so are seeds. All legumes and all seeds are high in the magnesium nutrient. Magnesium is a mineral. It works in cohort with calcium. And in regards to calcium, a great deal of research shows that the minimum amount of magnesium intake should be half of that of calcium, or that you have a 2-to-1 ratio of calcium to magnesium. Why is this important? This is important because calcium and magnesium balance each other out. They work in cohort. For example, calcium can't be absorbed as appropriately if you're lacking in magnesium, and calcium cannot be recruited from the bones as well to build your baby's bones if you are lacking in magnesium. The concerted action of calcium and magnesium is one reason for this recommendation of the most recent science for a ratio of 2 calcium to 1 magnesium. And the RDA for magnesium for pregnancy is 350 milligrams per day. For lactation is 310. If you're over 31, the recommendation is to take up 10 more milligrams. So 350 to 360, 310 to 320 for pregnancy and lactation respectively. I have about 3 cups of chickpeas. All my recipes are by eye. They just come out magically, and I need to develop a system like a scale and take down all my measurements for the exact amount. So we have about measured here 3 cups chickpeas, and I'm going to put in the juice of 2.5 limes. You could also use lemons. Add some salt. I was hoping to add in some black Kalamata olives, but I went to my refrigerator and I realized somehow they did not get in my grocery bag when I bought them. Using an additional flavoring in your hummus is wonderful. When I was in college, I had a boyfriend, and he adored me for my beauty and my cooking because I was quite quiet and couldn't do a lot because my health wasn't super good. But that being said, I used to make wonderful hummus for him all the time with different varieties, sun-dried tomatoes, roasted garlic, green olives or black olives, basil. He loved the basil and the Kalamata olive oil. Not together, but separate recipes. I'm going to add in 3 cloves of garlic. A little more, you can do a little less garlic if you like. I'm doing more garlic because garlic is a potent antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial compound, especially if it's raw. I have black sesame seeds. Sesame seeds are extremely high in magnesium, just like chickpeas. I made this tahini from scratch because where I'm at, you can't find tahini unless it's very, very expensive and packaged in plastic bins. I'm adding in all of this black tahini. Black tahini is even higher in minerals than regular tahini, and it's also purported to grow hair and get rid of your grays. So if you have gray hair, black tahini is where it is at. And I have about half a cup of tahini that I'm adding in here, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. Also, other great additions are a little bit of cumin, or coriander is also lovely. Today I'm just sticking with the most simple version for you, so you see how easy it is to cook, and you're more willing to try it at home without a large number of ingredients. I'm going to blend that up. If your mixture seems quite thick and is not blending well, you want to add some liquid. You know, we want to take it. I love to always save the chickpea broth because very unctuous in like chicken broth. This time I cooked the chickpeas down so I don't have a lot of broth left, but if I'm aiming to make a sort of faux chicken soup or another vegetable soup with the stock, I love to add more liquid into my chickpeas and save that and get a 2-in-1. In regards to the RDA for lactation and pregnancy for calcium and magnesium, we want to take the viewpoint that this ratio of 2 calcium to 1 magnesium is a minimum. It's not a maximum ratio. Sometimes there's maximum ratios, so you really have to think about this aspect. And also taking into consideration that the recommendations for calcium are also a bare minimum. This would imply that we want to double the magnesium because we know calcium is at a minimum, and if we just doubled the magnesium RDA, we would be, for example, if we doubled the magnesium RDA for pregnancy, we would be at an RDA of 700 for calcium, but we don't want that. The RDA for calcium is 1,000, so we want to increase the amount for magnesium. Taking into consideration that the calcium recommendations is set as at a minimum, the calcium RDA is set at a minimum, which means you need to have that much or higher. And the calcium RDA is not even enough to offset bone loss in the woman or teeth loss during pregnancy, which is assumed to recover hormonally and be offset by increased absorption and other hormonal factors in the body that prevent calcium loss. But I would put a caveat with this, saying that there's not a very high level of calcium in the recommendations, considering that the woman is building entire bones of the baby and that she's losing a great deal of calcium of her own body. And I actually have a theory this might be one reason for osteoporosis later in life is the lack of recovery of bones after lactation. And if you are after the lactation period, it's really important that you take consideration of your magnesium intake, because you are increasing your bone density and recovering your teeth after the lactation period when you have additional hormonal changes to put your body back where it was before pregnancy. So if the calcium is at a minimum, we want to then increase the magnesium RDA to at least be half of that of the calcium, which for both would be 500, even though there's a difference in the recommendations. You might say calcium you need more than pregnancy, you need more than 500, maybe you need 650, because you are providing more nutrients to your baby, and some nutrients you need more during pregnancy and some nutrients you need more of during lactation. Magnesium is one of those nutrients you need more of during pregnancy. And so this is based on more recent research, because the calcium and the magnesium recommendations are based partially on where was I going with this? Now, if you're in your post-lactation period and you're increasing your calcium intake to make up for your bone loss and to recover your teeth health, which you also want to have sufficient vitamin B6 for those teeth health recovery, it's also important to consider that, hey, maybe I might need more of the magnesium as well for optimal metabolic health. And this is because calcium and magnesium work together in they're kind of like balanced. Calcium does one thing, magnesium does the other. Magnesium goes up, calcium goes down, and vice versa. If you need more liquid in here, you can add a little bit more water. Just depends how you like. Then I'm going to add about another 1/4 cup of water. Like many nutrients, proper intake of a nutrient determines metabolic health and function later in life, and that early childhood and lactation and pregnancy period is crucial for determining that. With respect to magnesium, we have improved metabolic health and improved cognitive function, and I just think it's amazing that you can have improved cognitive function when you're an adult if your mom ate enough hummus and sides of dark leafy greens and sesame seeds when she was pregnant. I love adding a little olive oil. If you're lactating, I try to put olive oil in everything and use olive oil as my primary cooking oil because of the high vitamin E needs that it provides. One consideration I had when thinking about, well, magnesium needs should really be higher than the RDA is because the calcium because of the aforementioned reasons I stated for calcium, but also one big fallacy with the calcium recommendations was that the data was not based on pregnant and lactating women. So that's another reason to say, hey, we should probably be meeting a little bit higher for magnesium if we want to meet that 2-to-1 ratio rather than lowering the magnesium to meet the minimum calcium recommendations that were not based on pregnant women. Give that a little taste. I'm going with bumpy hummus today. Sometimes I like it really smooth, but this blender does not smooth out very much, and because the tahini was homemade, it's not going to get super smooth. Like the beans will get smooth, so I don't want to add too much liquid because liquidy bumpy is not good. I just kind of have like some more texture. I have a little bit more texture in this hummus, which is delicious. You can also make a super smooth hummus if that's your goal. You need to have a higher powered blender, or buy your hummus pre-made. In addition to subpar recommendations for balancing calcium and magnesium, the source of the RDA for pregnant women was based on balanced studies, which sounds good at first, and you think, oh, well, if they were balanced studies, then that's the gold standard, because balanced studies are studies that measure intake, excretion, and blood levels, or levels in the body, to determine what levels of intake correspond with levels in the body. But the balanced studies for magnesium were not based on pregnant women. And in fact, it's unclear what the population used at all was in the most recent publications by the Institute of Medicine, American Dietetics Association. The hypocrisy stands out a little bit, because I personally can't imagine publishing something where I didn't list the number of people in my study, their age, their sex, and their health status, and none of this is disclosed. And one reason this is important is because your health status really affects your nutrient levels. For example, if I have an infection, a bacterial infection, but I'm also having hormonal issues and I have low vitamin D, guess what? I need so much more zinc. There are like 3 factors there I just listed that are going to affect my zinc status. So I need to be intaking higher. Higher intake will have the same levels as someone else who does not have the same hormonal needs that I have, is not having a bacterial infection or latent infection, and is getting plenty of vitamin D. So really everything has to be looked at together. In the case of magnesium, they didn't disclose any of the population studies used for this, though they do state that women were used. No, that's not true. They determined the RDA for women based on those balanced studies, but they don't say if the balanced studies but they don't say the population for the balanced studies. Then they took the women's RDA and extrapolated for increase in lean body mass for pregnancy and lactation, or for pregnancy. They based the lactation on pregnancy. But for pregnancy, they took the extrapolation of an increase in lean body mass from a non-pregnant woman's RDA and then said, well, this is the increase in magnesium a pregnant woman needs. Now, although this is concrete and not based on theory, the first RDA was based on theory, at least as far as we can assume, because the population was not disclosed, and usually good data will disclose the full population if the population is representative of the data we are seeking to examine, or the population we're seeking to determine needs for. Now, another caveat comes with that, and furthermore, we need to consider different changes in pregnancy, because the main change in pregnancy is not an increase in lean body mass, okay? We have huge metabolic changes. Oh my God, I'm about to knock things over. We have huge metabolic changes. That's the biggest thing I would say. Metabolism, oxidative phosphorylation, glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, all these are highly upregulated. And you need things like magnesium. You need magnesium for anaerobic glucose phosphorylation. You need magnesium for the parathyroid function. You need magnesium for a huge range for oxidative mitochondrial respiration. You need magnesium for a huge range of processes in the body. In fact, there are over 600 processes in the body that require magnesium. So I would say during pregnancy, lean body mass, yes, it does increase, but if that's not the main factor, I would actually say there are more metabolic changes in a woman, more genetic changes, DNA changes, tons of DNA transcription and translation, RNA synthesis, all that is dependent on machinery made in your body, and the machinery requires magnesium to function. Good. Make it 2 limes. 1 more lime. So only basing the magnesium functions on a change in lean body mass is leaving out the huge breadth of magnesium functions in the body. And I like to just drizzle a little olive oil on top. Magnesium is involved in oxidative mitochondrial phosphorylation, and the mitochondrial function plays a huge role in the level of energy you have. Magnesium is also involved in the parathyroid. The parathyroid directs integrate processes of pregnancy and is responsible for contributing to energy metabolism. So if you're feeling low on energy, people always say, oh, I'm lacking B vitamins, or I need some more vitamin C. Well, a lot of times you also need magnesium, and I think it's one of the most overlooked nutrients. In fact, 80% of women and the general population are lacking in magnesium, and that's in respect to the RDA for magnesium, not even talking about the 2-to-1 ratio of calcium to magnesium, which will put it at 500 milligrams per day. Most people are deficient in the 350-300 range recommendations of magnesium. I just want to toast that. Taste that, I mean. That's delicious. So simple. Took 2 minutes. And now you have various meals. I like to plate this on some greens. So I hope you enjoy this hummus dish, and stick around for the other video where I talk more about magnesium and make little chocolate trufas out of pure cacao, which is super delicious and super high in magnesium. Thanks for coming, and I hope you learn more by clicking this video.
I'm a Minecraft guy. Do it. Mom.
Hey, you're having a long evening now.